How are you doing, guys? ZDEyE here. So today I wanted to talk about Death Stranding. So initially the reviews are all up and for comers that have gotten an opportunity of playing the game anyway, but I specifically wanted to talk about today from the IGN's review. Now, I'm talking about specifically them as they gave it a 6.8 out of 10, so obviously this counts one of the lower scale reviews compared to everybody else out there giving their own reviews. Now, of course, I'm sure there will be some other people giving even lower rating than that, but IGN, they're a lot more formal, they're a lot more known compared to anybody else and in the industry of gaming, so to say, right? So, at this point I wanted to talk about what was the cause of the issue, why this individual, I want to say, specifically mentioned why he did not really enjoy his time with the Death Stranding. I want to do one other thing, it's quite important. I did not play the game, at least not yet. I will be getting it anyway on the 8th of November. So, take it as you will, this is not truly my review that I should be giving, but I definitely know a lot about this game at this point, since obviously so many footages, backgrounds, so many reviews as well that have given a proper undressing, so to say, right? I've watched plenty of stuff, but don't worry, guys, as well, I will not be doing any spoilers because, well, number one, I don't really know too many spoilers either, and number two is that I want to keep it fresh in my mind, bit of a surprise moments. Okay, so one of the IGN's issues with this game, the biggest issue, mind you, why it got even such a lower rating than initially expected, is because of the convoluted quest design. Obviously, this is extremely, subjective, if that makes any sense, but also he's kind of right on the point. As I mentioned in my previous videos, at one point I mentioned that this game might be in a risk of actually being boring. And that's true. In some cases it can be very boring. What you have to do is make sure that you are basically going from point A to point B with the packages in hand. That's your ways of going about how you want to go about. And that's understandable, truly is. But here's an issue. One thing for certain that he has mentioned is very irritating, for example, that you need to make sure that you can weight out the weight management of the stuff that you're carrying on your back or on your sides or, overall on you anyway, right? So it gets very difficult to even traverse through the world. Number one question, why don't you bring less stuff? How about that? Isn't that a better answer for you? Like, what was he thinking? And number two, if that's the case that he does not like these sort of games, and he actually it's been mentioned already that this is a Death Stranding game, right? It's about connecting. You will be doing a lot of this stuff. I don't know why he was expecting anything else. This is the vision of Kojima. This is how he wanted to go about his game. If that's the case, and he didn't take any pulls from this game, for example, right? And that's exactly his vision was about this game. That's completely understandable. IGN, for example, only saw this more or less of a side quest that you need to bring from that stuff from point A to point B. That's the biggest gripe that he have had. Personally, for me, I don't really mind that. He likes the way the world looks. I'm sure everybody would say the same thing. I saw it as well from the gameplay standpoint. It looks fantastic and incredible. Of course, the Guerrilla engine. And the same results from the Horizon Zero Dawn by the Guerrilla games. So, obviously, Decima engine is the engine that's been developed for the Death Stranding, been renamed a little bit. Alright, well, just wanted to mention the other thing. If this is the case that you personally would not like this to experience the game because you will be doing the main result of the game, well, you guessed it again, you are going to be more or less delivering these packages back and forward. It's not as simple just pulling the stick forward and you're gonna go your way there wherever you need to. You need to have all your fingers on your controller so you get to that point. As an example, make sure packages are not too heavy, so you need to grip to the balance. If there's cliffs, you're gonna have to make sure that you have some kind of a rope, right? Or maybe you need to go over, you need to make a bridge, for example. You can use a ladder for that. You need to go down the cliff, you can use a ladder as well. You see, every little thing as such means that you will need to have some kind of packages for it, right? You need a spare pair of boots. Again, this is convoluted as hell. I agree to the point. This can get extremely boring for some people. This is why this game is not for everybody. And that makes complete sense in my personal opinion. Now, obviously, at the beginning of the game, you've mentioned by the IGN as such that it's very slow, tedious, grindy. You can't even, take care of any enemies. You kind of, you're very exposed, if that makes any sense. Okay, but then after 10 hours mark, you finally get to start using the weapons, and you can use it against the BTs and the enemies, and such as the camps, right? Stealthily, you can infiltrate them, but obviously this is not a stealth game. You can steal their packages and stuff. There's different varieties of weapons as well. You can steal the packages from the NPCs as well, from the distance, as an example, by using the weapon. Maybe that was a little bit of a spoiler. Not really, it's part of the weapon, so I don't think that really counts as a spoiler. Maybe it does? Shit. I apologize about that, guys. But anyway, I don't think that's a spoiler, more or less. I definitely wanted to mention that I don't think this game is for everybody. It's already been... It's understandable, right? I mean, nowadays, AAA gaming, what do you expect to see? Right? Push the stick forward and get to the point A to B, as an example, right? Clear out the enemies somehow by combat or interaction, and that's it. Really, like, that's really it. That's the AAA standard of the games nowadays we get. And there's different varieties of ways to get to that point of an objective. Helicopter, as if we're talking about modern setting, horse riding, if again, modern setting. Death Stranding is not much of a difference compared to that, but there's a lot more to it, if that makes sense. Walking, you need to make sure that you don't just simply fall off the damn cliff, because you're gonna upset your baby. One thing, you can kill yourself, for example. I think you can kill yourself anyway. You can upset the baby, so you need to make sure the baby is alright and everything like that. There's a lot of things that needs to be taken care of. This is not just a walking simulator that people would definitely be addressing this game as. I don't see it. Sure, you can take the packages, you can be a postman going to point A to B. Sounds like a walking simulator, I understand. But there's a lot more to it. Simply walking, it doesn't exactly mean that you're pulling a stick forward. Again, it's not that. Walking simulator would be a lot more simplistic compared to this game and what it ends up trying to be. Again, I don't know, a lot of people don't really see what the vision of the Hideo Kojima strive to go forward with. And again, this is not for everybody. And the person who was been playing the game, IGN fellow, and he's been playing the game, he doesn't really like this. I can clearly see. I actually don't really think that he gave it a 6.8. I think he gave it an even lower rating than that. But why he didn't? Because, well, IGN. Again, and I don't think he would want to angry more fans and such for this game. I'm sure he was gonna give it like maybe 6 or 5 out of 10 for this game. I would not be surprised if that would have been the case, but then he changed his mind at the end of the day. As you understand, basically, one other thing he mentions about the traversal, fast traveling, let's go about that. First, number one, you need to visit the place that you've been already. Sure, okay, that's cool, that's pretty simple. Go on your map, select that point where you want to go, hit the button, and you're gonna load the screen. You're gonna go down there, but it's not as simple. Again, you need to go back to the camp, big camp I'm talking about. You need to sit through some of the cutscenes. Thankfully, you can skip them, as he mentioned it as well. After, when you're done, you step through blah blah blah, cutscene again. You can skip it again if you want to. And there's an umbrella right outside of the corner of the room, and his question is, why can't you just bring that umbrella with you to the world so you can, fast travel throughout the world as however pleased you want? Well, obviously the points of interest that you've been already. But he doesn't understand, for example, he even showed us the cutscene, that this umbrella is not exactly yours. This umbrella is the woman. The woman is there as well. I'm not going to get into it too much. It might be a little bit spoiler territory. We actually got an opportunity of seeing that in the newest launch trailer that Hideo Kojima edited. Basically, at the end of the news trailer, basically he touches her forehead, and you envision that place you've been, and you simply teleport, just like that, and you get back to the area where you were, more or less of a fast travel. Doesn't that make sense already? Maybe his question would be, why don't she just come with us? Well, he played the game. He should have the answers. I'm sure that maybe she has her own reasons not to be able to come to us. I'm sure of that. Like, I don't have every other answers out there. Again, I did not play the game, so I might be wrong about these stuff again, guys, but I just don't see how this game so far, even though I do see why people would get bored out of fuck out of this, because it seems like a tedious grind, more or less. I don't. I like what I saw, and I'm definitely excited for it. Now, if I end up being disappointed, don't worry, guys. I'm gonna mention in my first impressions video or my review and tell you exactly how I felt about this game. But again, what I've seen so far, I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm definitely, excited for the game. That's that. It's simple as that. Well then, I guess that's that. Thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe. See you guys all later, and as always, have a good one.